game. I don't think we discussed playoff picture or anything. We know it's a division game at home, Thursday night, everyone watching. We knew what was on the line in this game, and I thought we came out and executed well.
The win pulls Miami within 11 percentage points of 5-3-1 Cincinnati in second place in the AFC wildcard standings. ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting there's a real possibility that 49ers Pro Bowl linebacker Navarro Bowman, who has missed the first 9 games with a torn ACL and MCL, will not play at all this season. He must begin practicing by Tuesday, or he will be placed on season-ending injured reserve. Bulls guard Derrick Rose will be reevaluated today following his latest injury. This time it was a left hamstring. He left last night's 100-93 win over Toronto, although Rose says, "I do not think it's that serious."
Sports Center is brought to you by Pearl Records and RCA Nashville. Garth Brooks' Man Against Machine, the first studio album in 13 years, featuring 14 new tracks. Garth Brooks' Man Against Machine. Get it now. Available at Walmart.
You're listening to the Sports Fix.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock back with you guys, rolling on. I'm going to open up the phones for you a little bit later on in the show. I'm getting ready to be joined by Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com. We're going to hit the Houston Texans scouting report here. It's the next one up on the calendar for the Browns, so let's talk about that with Jeff Gorman. You can keep talking to us. Of course, I see guys in the Mixler chat room talking. MIXLR.com. You can tweet with us at the Sports Fix. CLE, all one word. Hit us up on Facebook, facebook.com/thesportsfix. You can always email us, thesportsfix@AOL.com. Going to the phones right now, Jeff Gorman from Browns101.com. Jeff, how you doing? First off, how you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing great, J-Rock. It's pretty cold out here, but it's not snowing the way it is up there. I'm down here in Medina, of course, and we had some snow a little while ago, but it's all kind of melted away, so it's not looking too wintry, at least right now.
Oh, well, that's nice for you. It's definitely much more wintry here where I'm at, man, but I'm much closer to the snow belt as well than you are, too, out there in your neck of the woods. But, hey, man, hey, that game's still a couple of days away. I don't know, actually, what the forecast is for right around Saturday night, Sunday morning. I haven't checked. I don't know if you have,
I can tell you.
Don't know. Well, I'm sure you – all right, then. If you got it, then
I just looked at it, yeah.
Is it coming in? Is it coming in again this weekend?
No, it's not, actually. It's supposed to be about 40 and cloudy, so that's good if you're going to the game from a fan standpoint, but it's not that great from a Browns football advantage standpoint. It's not going to be real snowy and sloppy, and it's going to be kind of okay football weather, so we're not going to get that equalizer that we were hoping for.
All right, Jeff. Well, you know what? We talked earlier in the show about a lot of the different things. I'm sure some of them you've got circled on your scouting report here. I don't know where you want to take off. I guess probably the easiest place would be starting with the new quarterback that's coming in there. We've mentioned it a bit. I jokingly call it the Brady Bowl, but it's not. It's not a joke. It is. It's the two guys that sat behind him for the last, 3 or 4 years, and now here they both have teams of their own. Matter of fact, I saw Bill O'Brien saying, "Hey, man, Tom Brady's got the day off. I think they play 8 o'clock game." He said he'll be watching that one too. You'll have a lot of people, I think, interested in that. But you've got Brady and Mallett on opposite sides. Mallett brings that unknown thing where we were just talking about it with JK. It does seem, whether you're talking about the Browns or the Indians or even the Cavs over the last few years, that it's always that guy that's never played, that guy that just got called up. It is always that AAA pitcher going for the Twins, that trips you up when you're like, how did that happen, man? So you do have that out there, but I'm very curious as just a football fan to see what Ryan Mallett does, because I'll be honest with you, for those of you that have listened to the show for years, you would probably remember this, but I was high on the Browns' attempts to acquire Ryan Mallett a few years ago. Obviously, this was well before the emergence of Brian Hoyer. He wasn't even on the roster yet. When the Browns, over the last 2 or 3 seasons, have been bandying about different options and things, Ryan Mallett's name did come up several times, and hey, that was one that I said, hey, he played behind, much like what we say about Hoyer. He played behind Brady, played with, a good system and Belichick and good offensive coordinators, and he's got the big arm, which he does have, and we'll talk about that. So I've always been intrigued by Ryan Mallett. I'm kind of curious to see how he plays this weekend.
There's the thing about Mallett. He doesn't have any kind of negative track record because he doesn't really have a track record. He's been waiting for 3.5 years to finally get a chance to start. And, it's just amazing because you get guys behind someone like Tom Brady, and you never know how long Tom Brady's going to last. He could play for 3 more years. He could play for, 3 more games. So, if things had broken differently, literally in New England, we could possibly, Brian Hoyer could have possibly become a very big star for the Patriots. Or he could have, not gotten that chance, come to the Browns. Mallett could have possibly gotten a chance and, just really done a great job the way Brady himself did when he took over for Drew Bledsoe. So you just never know how long your superstar quarterback is going to last. I mean, both these guys ended up, making their way out of town. But the thing with, everything that people liked, people that like you liked, and even back when he got drafted about Mallett, it's all still there. He's a big guy. He's very young. He's got a huge arm. Hoyer says that Mallett has the biggest arm that he's ever seen. So he's got that going for him, but just the whole lack of experience thing, this is going to be the first time he's out there, that has to play into the Browns' hands, and we have to hope that would be an advantage, that he doesn't come out, like some young pitcher. Of course, in baseball, the pitcher has, quite a big advantage, even if he's a rookie. Hopefully the Browns will be able to do some stuff to disrupt Mallett and keep him from shocking everybody with a huge game.
Yeah, and he's a big guy with that big arm, 6'6", 245, again. And you just nailed it perfectly. All the same reasons that people like me in the past said, hey, man, I wouldn't mind seeing that guy in a Browns jersey is all going to be there. So let's see what he can do. You do hope that the inexperience and the Browns are able, because that defense, and you got to say, Browns defense, as we've mentioned, has improved week to week over the last month and a half. They're really getting at a higher clip here. You wonder, though, obviously, every team deals with injuries this season. Browns most definitely not going to have. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I would put it at 90%. Tayshaun Gibson doesn't play. He hasn't practiced. He hasn't even gotten through the concussion protocol yet. So while Jordan Cameron, I would probably say 50-50 may play, not so much Tayshaun Gibson. I'm pretty sure that he may not be out there for them with that concussion this week. So that's going to be a little bit of a disadvantage defensively, but it's next man up. I'm not the biggest Jim Leonhard fan. I know that he's the coach on the field, the proverbial second coach out there, but it's a difference. Obviously, Tayshaun Gibson playing at a very, very high level, that's going to hurt you. But hopefully, again, the inexperience of Mallett ties in. And then I think that the handcuff, or the thing that attaches itself to Mallett, is what they're able to do with the running game. Because obviously, how much you can lean on Arian Foster. They love to run the ball. Browns and the Texans 1-2 in the league in rushing attempts this season. They both are going to be able to lean on Arian Foster. Will go a long way for a young quarterback making his first start.
That's right. He's really going to have to hope that Foster is ready to go because he's been sidelined with a groin injury that he suffered against the Eagles. And, they had the bye week, and he still hasn't practiced this week. He didn't practice yesterday, the day before. Yep. So, the fact that it got to Wednesday, Thursday of this week, and he still wasn't even able to get on the practice field, that's kind of alarming. And they said that he's going to be a game-time decision. So hopefully, it would really, really be a huge help for the Browns if he's not able to go. And if he is able to go, you got to wonder what percent of Arian Foster we're going to see. Of course, 50 or 60% of Arian Foster is still pretty darn good, but I just can't see him being 100%. I think if he plays at all, and I think that really has to play to the Browns' advantage. Otherwise, they would have to go with the rookie Blue, and you go from 5 yards a pop to 3.5 yards a pop, and that really plays into the Browns' hands and really puts a lot more pressure on Mallett to win the game. So I think what the Browns need to do is they need to, assuming that Foster's out there, I think if you're the Browns, you really have to just sell out against the run and do everything you can to stop Foster because at times he can be their entire offense. In fact, against the Titans, he scored all 3 of their touchdowns, 2 on the ground and 1 through the air because they love to pass to him too. I think what the Browns have to do is do everything they can to stop Foster and basically dare the inexperienced Ryan Mallett to beat them.
Yeah, Say, put it up there and go ahead and beat us, man. And that's going to be an interesting thing. And when you talk about beating us, obviously he's got some weapons to do that. Andre Johnson, that's the name everybody will point out there. He's got the track record. DeAndre Hopkins, though, what is he? I believe he's just outside the top 10 in receiving yards here this season. And, statistics are whatever, but still, he's clearly a big play guy. He's a weapon guy. Andre Johnson, always going to be something you got to worry about no matter how long he's been playing, no matter when he's banged up or not banged up. He's a tough matchup every time. So you got a couple of wideouts there that are going to give Ryan Mallett some good weapons to throw that ball to.
That's right. Everybody down there is very impressed with Hopkins. Some are saying he may have surpassed Andre Johnson at this point. Of course, Johnson is 30. He's 33 years old. He's getting up there a little bit, but of course, the size that he has and the ability to catch the ball. So, that's what they've needed for a long time, is somebody to complement him to take some of the pressure off him. Unfortunately for the Texans, they really don't have a whole lot besides those two guys. They've got Garrett Graham, their tight end. Their third wideout is Damaris Johnson. Neither of those guys are actually setting the world on fire. So I have a pretty decent amount of confidence that the Browns will be able to, for the most part, contain Hopkins and Johnson, especially since they're not used to catching the ball from Mallett in a game situation. I'm sure they've been getting a lot of reps in practice, but there's nothing like getting your timing down and your patterns down in a real game, and hopefully that is what's going to play into the Browns' hands and hopefully result in some incompletions and possibly even some interceptions.
No, absolutely. You want to do that. You want to change that game plan. Hopkins averaging over 16 yards per reception. Andre Johnson, this may be near one of his career lows this year. He's around 11 yards a reception. Definitely a difference in that big playability. Still a guy. What's funny is I remember, I think you and a bunch of us having conversations in the offseason and even in training camp when the Andre Johnson trade rumors were out there. And I remember so many people saying Browns should trade. Remember, should they trade Hoyer for Andre Johnson? Should they trade draft picks? Well, I'm just going to throw this out there. Now, Andre Johnson has 48 receptions, which is more than anybody on the Browns. But check this out. The Browns' leading receiver with 39 receptions is Andrew Hawkins. He's 55 yards or so less receiving for the season than Andre Johnson. Johnson's got 563 on the season. Hawkins has got 504, and his average is nearly a yard higher per reception than Johnson. But here's where it's even better. Taylor Gabriel, the next best receiver for the Browns, which is amazing to say that, but he's at 435, just only 100 yards or so off the pace of Andre Johnson, and he has one of the top per catch averages in the league at 18.1. But those two guys, similar. Now, yeah, you're off by a few yards, but similar production to what you get out of Andre Johnson. Now, I'm not saying maybe Andre Johnson would have bigger production here. I know it's not completely apples to apples, but it just goes to show you how many times people jump on pedigree and name value, but in actual production on the field, Hawkins and Gabriel are every bit as effective for the Browns this year as Andre Johnson has been.
And that's really amazing. I mean, just the thought of Andre Johnson being more of a possession receiver than a deep threat. I mean, we'll see it with our own two eyes as to how much of a deep threat he is. But it is amazing because, you've got, like you said, that kind of reputation. But in football, that can really deteriorate quickly, especially when you're talking about running backs and wide receivers. That's probably the only profession aside from, or the only sport aside from maybe tennis and figure skating where 30, 32 really gets to be old because, it's all in your legs, and those legs, eventually they break down. So, you don't see a whole lot of 38, 40, 39-year-old wide receivers out there still doing it. In fact, you don't really see it at all.
Right, absolutely. That was one of the biggest reasons that I said, man, I'm not jumping up and down to make this trade and acquire a guy who's not only at the age where the drop-off, when it comes quickly. I love Andre Johnson. You guys know I play fantasy football for years. He was one of my staple guys that I went for every season. But like I say, 4 years, you're talking about a guy in his 12th season in the NFL. And I love Andre Johnson. He can still have a big game from time to time, but he's in his 12th season here, and that is a rarity in the NFL, especially at the wide receiver position, and he plays a position where speed and those physical assets are at a premium. I mean, clearly, if you just look at his career production, there's a drop-off. That's not a disrespect to Andre Johnson, but he has become much more of a possession receiver. This is a guy, career-long receptions in the high 70s. He's always been